If you like this video, why not subscribe?
Hello there, welcome back to the weekly recap Q&A show. Today on Tuesday, because yesterday was Memorial Day and I was out of town and doing the show would have been impossible. Plus it was a holiday, enjoy the time off. You, me, everybody, at least in the United States. But anyway, so I'm doing the recap show today, and I wanted to do it instead of skipping it, so I'm doing it on Tuesday because I had some really good questions I thought everybody could benefit from. So that's what I'm doing. I'm sharing those questions with you, answering them, hopefully to the best of my ability, and also sharing links down below that accumulated on Facebook and Twitter last week. So hopefully you can enjoy those. If that's all you're interested in, just check out in the description. And otherwise, listen up. So last week I started a week ago, Monday, or a week ago and a day, I talked about or invited everyone to create a teaser for my thesis film collection day because mine didn't turn out so well, so I asked everyone to help, and I've been getting some really good entries. So I just wanted to comment really quickly on that. Some people asked me when the deadline was, and the deadline is going to be this Friday because auditions begin the day after on Saturday, so I need to wrap that up. I had some really good entries. One of them, I believe, or maybe a couple, used some footage from other movies. Can't do that because I can't use that because of copyright issues. Even if you're kind of blurring them a little bit, don't use copyrighted footage. Some people are actually using their own footage, which I was really impressed by. They're actually shooting some stuff for this. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, that's it. So it ends Friday. Don't send me any copyrighted footage. If you did use some, make another one, get rid of that footage, use something else, whatever, and attach it as a video response to the original Collection Day teaser that I uploaded. I know some of you were attaching it to the recap Q&A where I announced this contest. So that's fine too. I just have to look for it a little more. So either one's fine. And again, I'm gonna pick a winner and send them a copy of my thesis script that I'm actually producing, the actual Collection Day script. So you can kind of get a better idea about what I'm trying to do. Again, probably not that great of a prize, but I appreciate your help for everyone who's doing this, and hopefully it's kind of a good exercise for you too. Okay, so let's jump right into the questions. The first one comes from Francisco Gonzalez Jr. He says, I work for my local government and I handle all the video content for the city, such as recording city council meetings and creating PSAs and mini docs / news packages. I've been researching on all different types of cameras, but I'm steering clear of DSLRs since I am accustomed to working with camcorders when doing fast-paced ENG style of shooting. However, I've read a lot of professional news camera operators use these types of cameras because of their footage being broadcast ready, something to do with the video's bitrate, I believe. And then he asks, what is broadcast ready and what is video bitrate and why is it important to capture footage at a high bitrate? Well, I think there's sort of a misunderstanding about what broadcast ready means because doesn't really have anything to do with video bitrate. From what I understand after working in television for a while, being something that's broadcast ready or broadcast safe means that there are certain video standards that your video has to conform to, as in colors and video level, and if they don't conform to that standard, technically the TV station isn't supposed to broadcast them because they're illegal. So you just have to know what those standards are, and I think I'm gonna, I'll give you a link from Wikipedia down below about what broadcast safe is, and there might even be a plugin in your editor that's called broadcast safe that you could just apply as an effect to your video, and it should take care of that. But usually it's when the colors are out of range or they're not right, or like I said, the levels are too high, they're above 100 on your waveform monitor, and you can just control those, you'll be fine. Video bitrate is important, obviously. I mean, the higher your video bitrate is, the better your video is going to look because it's acquiring more information. And I like to shoot at like full HD, even if I'm not, like Francisco says in his email, that he's not, the stuff that he shoots is never broadcast or shown in full high def. But it's always helpful to shoot in high def because then you can crop your picture and you won't lose any resolution. If you have to zoom in on something a little bit, you don't lose any resolution when you render. So that's, yeah, so there you go, Francisco. I realize I didn't answer every one of your questions because you asked me about a specific camera, but that's the main question I think that's most important. All right, Sam Dami asks me, how do I set up my shotgun mic so that I can record and my boom pole operator can listen to the audio at the same time? Do I need any more equipment, technique, anything? And he explains that he's recording into Audacity on his laptop. I think the simplest explanation here, no matter what you're recording in, by the way, Sam, I agree that your boom pole operator should be listening to the sound as well as whomever is recording it, your recordist, your sound recorder, because he will be able to tell when the microphone isn't pointed in the right place. Sometimes it's called being off axis, when your shotgun mic especially is not hitting the actor's mouth and you're off a little bit because of the directional pattern of a shotgun mic. You can tell the difference when you're pointed at their lips and when you're not. So you want to be pointed at their lips, obviously, but sometimes, you realize things happen, they move around or whatever, and you might lose them. But it's really important to have the boom pole operator wear a set of headphones because he or she will be able to tell when they're not pointing in the right place. That way you don't have to try and communicate with them, hey, you're not pointing in the right place. They will know, they should know. You can train them. What I like to do is whatever the sound is being recorded into, you have to monitor it somehow. So I would just get a headphone splitter so that you can be wearing a set of headphones, or cans as they are sometimes called, as well as the boom pole operator. Just get something that you can get at a Radio Shack. You find them on eBay really cheap. It just takes you can just plug them right into your headphone jack and whatever is doing the recording, and you can have a set of headphones and they can have a set of headphones, and thus you will be hearing the exact same thing. So there you go. 2 sets of headphones, 1 cheap adapter, and you're all set up. All right, the next letter comes from Mason King. He says, I have a question about the short film I will be making soon. I want the short to have a slight bluish tint to it, so would it be better to add the blue tint in post or in camera via the white balance? This is a really good question because, the stock answer is you always want to, shoot as clean a video signal as possible, because then you can always mess with it in post. However, you can get some really cool effects by tricking the camera with worm cards, are sometimes called. However, another trick that I've used, I think I'm going to link to the video below. I was one of the DPs or directors of photography on a web series called The Gap. We had this one scene where it was raining outside, which is a nice, add something to add to production value. And both the characters came inside of a car. And what I did was, we had a light. I don't remember if it was even just the dome light or something. I think it wasn't. It was a simple light, incandescent light, shining on their faces. We were sitting. The camera was in the back seat, and we were cross shooting from the back seat. And I set my white balance based on the light hitting the actor's face. So their skin tones looked the way they should. They looked normal. But because the sun was going down, there was still daylight coming in the window, and it tinted everything blue. So you had this kind of cool semi-fogged window with raindrops on it. The character's hair was wet, and they looked normal, but the window was tinted blue, and it was kind of sort of a blue ambient light hitting their face, and it looked really, really good. And to pull that off in post, if you shot everything at the same color temperature, it would have been real tricky. You would have had to do masking and blah, 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 and all this stuff, but we captured it right there on location. So, there's different schools of thought. If you want complete control of your video at all times, shoot everything normally, or try and get a balanced effect. However, I'm not sure in that situation if that would have even been possible without some kind of we would have had to put some color correction gels on the window and all that, and we didn't have a lot of time, and the sun was going down, and so it worked out really well. But like I said, the main school of thought is to capture everything at the same color temperature, tweak it in post. But that's a great trick. If you can white balance on something you want to look normal, and then whatever else is ambient changes, if you just kind of know what you're doing or know the effect you want, you can really manipulate those visuals to something really cool. I'm going to leave a link below to that video if I can find it. Hopefully it's still on YouTube, so you can get an idea of what I was talking about. But anyway, both things have value both ways. All right, finally, here's the last question here. We have a question from Grant Barnhill, who asks, I've recently invested in a Super 8 camera and a refurbished projector, and I'm excited to film with real film. My question to you is, have you ever filmed with 8mm, 16mm, or 35mm film? If so, did you like or dislike it in comparison to digital? Well, when I was first getting into filmmaking way back, I did, because Super 8 stuff was going out, I did buy a Super 8 camera, I did buy a projector so that I could do audio on it. And it was kind of cool to shoot on film, especially since video was so preposterously expensive at the time to do any kind of editing, so you kind of had to do that. And I did like the look of it. The downside is, all the typical downsides, you don't see what you're getting through the viewfinder. It always looks different after it's processed. Same thing happens with 16, I've noticed. I've shot a little bit of 16 here at school. It's completely phased out now, but the last semester, bright sun, we did shoot on some 16. The downside is, of course, is that you don't see what you get unless you kind of have to get to know the camera really well and know what to expect. and then once you do that, you can sort of, tweak things. You have to use a light meter. Editing is a pain because you're actually cutting the film and splicing it, which some people really enjoy that, especially, if you grew up or if you began your film career doing old school style techniques. It's not a supernova, I promise, and there's a cloud that's going to pass in front any second. But anyway, film does have value, and it's cool that you're doing that. You can definitely get different looks for your movie if you have Super 8 or another type of film and you want to merge it with your video, kind of creating sort of an old school type of look. I think that's a really good idea, actually. So there you go. And that reminds me, the question, if we ever going to get some coverage here from that sun, there we go, it's going down a little bit, is have you ever shot on film, and what did you think of it? If you have an opportunity to do it, it is a lot of fun. There's also the expense, obviously, because you have to process it, and then editing it is, a challenge. But have you ever done that? Have you ever shot on film, whether it was Super 8, 16, or 35, and what did you think about it in comparison to what we have to work with now, which is much more common, which is video, digital video, that type of thing. Okay, so that's the recap Q&A show for this week. It's getting really hot in my car, and I'm sweating, so I'm going to end the show right now.